If you've gone outside to shop or eat in the past few months, you've probably seen some people doing something kind of annoying, not wearing a mask despite health recommendations. According to the CDC, to prevent getting the coronavirus, you should stay socially distant and wear face coverings when you're in public outside of your close circles. And if just 80% of America wore a mask, we could cut new cases 12-fold. But it seems like people don't really care about these guidelines. In Missouri, this is what a pool looked like in the midst of the coronavirus. No social distancing or face coverings to be found. Similar sights can be seen at Florida beaches like this one, or even at Donald Trump's rally in Tulsa, which caused 8 Trump staffers to test positively for the coronavirus, and there was also a surge in cases across Tulsa County. These people aren't taking precaution for a variety of reasons.
I ain't scared.
Yeah.
You know, what's gonna be, gonna be.
But if you're in fairly good health, to a point where we're starting to touch on paranoia.
But not wearing a mask creates problems for other people too, and since mid-June, a huge increase of new cases can be seen across America, especially in hotspots like Florida, Arizona, and Texas. It seems like America just can't handle the coronavirus, but in Japan, the story is completely different. Although Japan is one of the most densely populated countries and has the most populated city in the world, Tokyo, it has an astronomically low amount of cases and deaths. For every 1 million people in Japan, about 154 of them have been infected. Meanwhile, in the US, the number is over 9,000. Some say that's simply due to more testing in the US.
If we didn't do any testing, we would have very few cases.
But the positivity rate in Japan is about 2%, while in the US, it's about 8%. A lower positivity rate means they're catching most of those people who are sick and testing a lot of the people who are asymptomatic. So why has Japan handled it so well, but the US hasn't?
Tonight, 12 million students in Japan are out of classes. Schools across the country closed for a month to stop the spread of coronavirus.
When the coronavirus first hit in Japan, the government was quick to close schools and issue its 3 C's on what to avoid: closed spaces, crowded places, and close contact settings. Its message was clear and people followed it. Meanwhile, in the US, things took a different route. Early on, Donald Trump denied the coronavirus as even being a threat.
But we have it so well under control. It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear. If you're healthy, you will probably go through a process and you'll be fine.
Later, as the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus as a pandemic, the government wasn't sure what we should really do.
Right now, the CDC is saying masks should only be worn if you're sick or you're taking care of someone who is.
But then over time, masks became a recommendation for everyone.
So right now, unequivocally, the recommendation is when you're out there, particularly if you're in a situation where there's active infection, keep the distance physically and wear a mask.
But some people didn't take that very seriously, like Donald Trump.
Why you decided not to wear
Well, I did wear, I had one on before. I wore one in this back area, but I didn't want to give the press the pleasure of seeing it. And here's another one.
Why would you not be wearing?
I think wearing a face mask as I greet presidents, prime ministers, dictators, kings, queens, I don't know, somehow I don't see it for myself. I just
For Donald Trump, this is a type of power move, but his influence pushed people, especially his supporters throughout the country, to not wear masks. That decision created a sharp divide between Republican Trump supporters who opted out of masks and Democrats who opted in. Since this divide was created, new cases in Democratic states have consistently been going down, while Republican states have actually been increasing. But even beyond politics, the resistance against these precautions are cultural.
You're in violation of my constitutional and civil rights!
Japanese citizens have long been accustomed to wearing masks if they're sick, bowing instead of shaking hands, and conforming to rules set out by the government. As early as elementary school, students are taught to thank their teachers after every class, to sit in orderly lines, and to respect others by serving them lunch. All of this is an attempt to create harmony by conforming to the standards of the group. And these fundamental values have allowed Japan to be a safe and courteous country that can easily shift to pandemic mode. But in the US, the beliefs are often the opposite. A mask is usually only seen when people are sick or in the hospital, and there's a stigma around those who wear them. Handshakes and hugs are also the usual, and during childhood, students learn of the American dream, where the point is not to conform to society but build your own path. This way of thinking definitely has its benefits, and it's allowed for some of the world's most influential companies and moguls to be created, but in a time of pandemic where conformity is necessary, it doesn't really help to be an American dreamer. But just because that's the status quo doesn't mean we can't change it. If you haven't been wearing a mask, you can definitely start now and encourage others to wear them as well, and don't do this.
Take it off! Take it off! Ah, sheep! Ah!
Even Donald Trump has finally said masks aren't all that bad, but whether people think that message was too late or not, we won't find out until November.